Maybe it's our fault for making it easy for them. Are we spoiling them? Are we giving them everything that they need? Is it technology? Is it just easier? Is it easy to Venmo my kid money just so they can go and replenish their account and go buy $10 meals, eating wings at Wingstop? Who is responsible for filtering or watching or screening what they see? What is our society saying about Gen Z kids? Well, they grew up with a handheld device glued to their palms, like all day, right? Just swiping, scrolling, whatever you want to call it. They're obsessed with social media, which is causing major anxiety and mental health issues. Is it a positive or negative in general that social media has basically taken over our kids and is the ones that are influencing our kids? I don't blame Gen Z. I blame the blueprint that we give them. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Facts of Life podcast, hosted by me, John Doan. On episode 15 here, we're going to talk about the debt entrapment, raised on comfort, sold on fantasy, just everything that's kind of related around that. And I want to talk about how Gen Z is growing up and how their culture is possibly going to affect them. What is our society saying about Gen Z kids? Well, they grew up with a handheld, device glued to their palms, like all day, right? Just swiping, scrolling, whatever you want to call it. They're obsessed with social media, which is causing major anxiety and mental health issues or disorders like stress and, obesity and depression. How about the inability to socialize because of their relationships that they have with their device instead of human beings? How about the inability to communicate? I hear that a lot. And then they've all been raised in, super comfort and luxury as a part of their childhood. Again, this is all related to what they see, what they hear, and, what they live by with this whole social media phenomenon that no other generations really grew up on. Even if I bring up millennials, right? They weren't born into devices. It came along at a younger age, but not as young as our Gen Zs are going through right now. On top of that, going to college is at its highest cost we've ever seen. Also, they're now competing against, AI for jobs and are unrealistic about what it takes to earn, mainly because of what they're seeing on social media. That said, that's my intro of what I wanted to talk about today. But as you know, on every single episode on the Facts of Life, the word life is an acronym for different things based on the episode that we're doing. And so today, the L.I.F.E is about luxury. To start, it's a fact that the Gen Z kids growing up today has almost gone all full digital currency, like with their lifestyle, right? Think about it. With apps like Apple Pay, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, right? And for my kids at home, I use Greenlight for banking, let's say, also a digital currency. But what do we all do? What are they all doing? It's all using device, tap to pay, using their devices. It's all digital currency. Why do I think that's important? Well, let's just go back to when I was growing up. When I grew up, millennials do to some part, right? To some degree, but we use bills. We had coins, we had bills, dollar bills, 5, 10, 50, 20, $100 bills, right? And so, I think there's a different respect for money when it's tangible, when it's sitting in your pocket, in your wallet, how you fold it, when you touch it. And it's different when it's all digital. There's a big psychological difference between the two. And our society is shifting to all digital currency, which makes a big impact. So for example, when I was a kid, if I would have went out and washed a neighbor's car or whatever, right, and earned $10, and I wanted to go buy something at the store for $5, I would hand them my $10 bill and they would give me change, $5. I took the $5 and I put it in my pocket or my wallet and I knew exactly how much I had left. That was my budgeting, style. That's how everybody was doing it. Nowadays, using digital currency is just completely different. It's not tangible. It's all automated. It's all technological. And I don't think it has the same exact effect. So, when you go to the store, same thing, right? But like, let's say you have Zelle or Venmo that you're using Apple Pay, you have $10. You go to the store, you're like, hey, I want to buy this meal, tap to pay, beep. And then, you use $5. Are you really looking at your balance? Not really. It's just not the same thing. And then, I don't know, there's this like connotation that if once you run out of money, as a kid at least, you're just going to ask for a refill, a reload. It's just very, very different. It's just not the same like how it used to be. By walking into the store and spending your money and getting that change is very different than paying digitally. On top of that, add on the fact that everything is like online now, right? Apps, online. I'm talking about Amazon wish list, subscription-based purchases, TikTok shop, Temu, AliExpress, and all the other online sources where kids are looking at goods, scrolling all day, looking at stuff, boom, 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 always looking, always watching, always ads, ad pop-ups, just advertisements everywhere. It wasn't like that for me. Back in the days, you like see stuff in a magazine, TV commercial, or like a newspaper, and then you see what it is, you go to the store, you look at it, you're like, so you want something so bad, so you go earn your money, you save. There's all that anticipation, right? And then you're walking to the store, you're making that purchase, you're getting your change back. The whole point is just a different approach compared to what we're doing today. The access to looking at goods is so different. It's just not, you could sit in a chair and just scroll and find all different kinds of things that you wish or want for, right? And I think that has a lot to do with it. So with that said, what do we see? What are the kids seeing? We're scrolling all day, right? We're looking at goods, products, new tech, supercars, mansions, and designer fashion. It's all readily available to view. And just think, if you're in your mobile device, scrolling through short videos, which are averaging right now on TikTok, let's say, it's about 15 to 30 seconds, right? It's getting shorter and shorter because our attention span is getting shorter and we're getting more impatient as a society, right? So we got to be more entertained. So 15 to 30 seconds, for a short video. And if the pace of scrolling for most kids is like 2 to 4 videos a minute, guys, do the math, right? That means that they flipped through over 100 to 150 videos of what? Supercars, blade, drip, beauty, boobs, booty, and just overall luxury, whether it's real life or if it's fantasy. This is being embedded in their minds. All they watch, right? So our society is complaining about the new gen, but is it really their fault if the old gen is the one who's developed all this software, this tech, these apps? Everyone's developed it, and now Gen Z is the ones that are using it. We all designed it. Did we put them there? Did we make this happen? I would say that absolutely. For personal gain and modernization of just technology and ease of use or whatever you want to call it, we put them there. So that brings us to the I in life today, and I want to talk about influence. Now that we've just talked about all the attributes that is developing the new gen, let's talk about the influence portion of that, right? Is it a positive or negative in general that social media has basically taken over our kids and is the ones that are influencing our kids? And should the parents be influencing them or social media? They're all learning at a very rapid pace of what I like to call opinion for the most part, right? You're scrolling through, you see opinion, you see comments, you see people saying certain things. Do you know if it's real or not? Is it fake? Is it real? Is it opinion? What is it? There's so much of that out there, but is it real? So many channels and platforms and programs and software and apps, that are out there that you can readily and freely give your opinion. For example, you have X, Facebook, Reddit. Is it fake bots, fake news, puppet accounts, voiceovers? And now you got to deal with AI, which is a new big thing, which, we won't really touch on today. We'll do that on another because way too many people are talking about that. But I definitely have a big opinion on that as well. But whose responsibility is it to make sure our kids are not trusting everything they see on social media or on these platforms that I call opinion, meaning you don't know if it's real or not. It's not factual. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. But who is responsible for filtering or watching or screening what they see? I can tell you right now, as a parent of 4, if your kid has a device, it's almost impossible to do. Like, I've been frustrated. I've been, just strategizing. What can I do? Parental controls, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Guys, it's inevitable. Like, you just cannot get around it. It's going to be impossible. Even if they don't have a device, their friends do, cousins, siblings, classmates, acquaintances, they may access their iPads or their PC or schools with their Chromebooks. There's a plethora of other devices that they can gain access to. It's just so difficult right now, in my opinion, to be just helicopter parent and like screening everything, every single thing and every single move that they make. I think that if you can't fully control the inbound information that is coming in, because it's too hard and it's going to get harder and it's going to get more and there's going to be more platforms and more devices, it's going to get worse, right? So if that's the problem, how do you nip this in the bud? I don't know. Maybe there's not a way. I can only tell you what I think through my experience and what I would recommend doing. I think it's a way to communicate with them. You've got to understand that this is all happening. So what are you going to do about it? How do you correct this? How do you protect? How do you correct, what they're learning if it is fake news, right? The point is, don't complain about it and don't complain about the next gen and what they're doing. All we can really worry about is what is in our control and what we can do about it to make sure that they do know the facts and the truth to the best of your ability, right? Like, you got to try. I have these talks with my kids quite a bit, and to take it up a notch, I now have 3 of my 4 kids helping me with my podcast, from research to fact finding to referencing, researching, everything, right? And that means they're all involved with watching my videos or editing or putting together this show that you're watching here. And that gives them the ability to hear the cold, hard facts. And it gives us like a really good platform for us to be able to discuss stuff. It's been a really good experience, actually. They're watching right now. And what I like about it is that I think together as a team, as a family, we're able to fact find. We're able to look at things and find truth. And maybe they're learning from social media too. However, on the other end, I'm doing my best to keep it real and to communicate with them the best that I can instead of just, not doing anything at all. Let's talk about the F in life, which is for fantasy today. That falls in line with everything that we are talking about today. Is the future Gen Z a fantasy or is it reality? Meaning what we just talked about and everything that they see and are influenced by. Is it fantasy or is it reality? So what we need to talk about really is all the things that affect their behavior. And the most apparent one for me is, instant gratification or patience or being impatient, really. Everyone seems to want everything now. Right? Think about this too. There's logic behind that. When you're on a device and you're scrolling, you're like waiting quickly. You're flipping to be satisfied, to be entertained, to move on to the next thing. That messes with you a little bit, messes with your behavior. I believe, it affects a lot of things. And to prove that, it's funny, but because we podcast and we TikTok, we do social media too, we pick up, news or tips and tricks and things like that. But like, look at TikTok, right? Years in, and the videos are getting shorter and shorter because of the attention span. And like, you won't get as many views unless you go quicker, unless it's something really, really apparent where people want to stay on it and look for a long time, inappropriateness or things that are just crazy, whatever, right? But if it's like facts or something that's educational, yeah, good luck. And it's full of ads, right? Selling luxury, selling all these things that I'm talking about. All the popular videos are all about tips, tricks, hacks, and how to get things done in a shortcut, including making money. Quick ways to make money. This is how you do this, this, and that. And, it's all about taking shortcuts. What does that mean for our schooling, education? How about them going to college? Does that mean that our Gen Z will be less likely to finish college? I don't know. That's the talk of the town right now. So if you factor in going to college and the instant gratification and the, make money, quick money right away, and then you factor in the cost of how much it goes to college right now. I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm a lender. I do loans, and I've, for 20 years have watched how much college expenses rise by looking at loan applications, credit reports, student loan bills, things like that. For the first time this year, 2025, let's just call it, medical doctors, full on. I mean, I saw the highest bill I've seen this year, and it was $600,000. That is ridiculous, right? You'd almost have to be a total specialist or a, plastic surgeon, someone that, just specializes in beauty to be able to afford to pay that student loan off. But I mean, that's a full-on California-sized mortgage. So with that said, is there Gen Z? I mean, are they going to be able to buy homes? Are they going to be able to afford real estate? These were the same conversations that were going for the millennials as well, but they are buying up 40% of the market today. So that's something to think about. We all said that about the millennials, right? But they are the true hustlers in today's world, today's society. They are driving the economic force, people. Keep that in mind. I believe it all goes back to what we teach, what we influence our kids, like I said earlier. If social media is creating a fantasy world for them, it's our job to pull them right back to reality, like I'm trying to with my kids by doing this podcast. Not only is it to put out information and my opinions and facts that we find or research and try to make it compelling to help people, but it's also helping my kids. I hope it is, but I'm trying. I'll talk about most of my staff. Most of my staff today on my team are millennials, and they're killing it. So, these millennials are hungry. And yes, these are the gig workers, the freelancers, the independent ones, the ones that that came up with the side hustle terminology. They are doing whatever it takes, contrary to what society was talking about millennials back then, and they're killing it. I think you will see a new way of life with Gen Z, just like we did with the millennials is the point. I think they're going to have new methods, new strategies, and it's just going to evolve. It's going to change. What's important is, what are you doing to pull them back into the reality so that they can succeed? The last part of our podcast today is the E in life, which I'm going to talk about enough. When and what is enough for Gen Z? Does this gen feel like they deserve everything and don't need to work for it or try or whatnot? Maybe. That's what everybody's saying. Maybe it's our fault. Again, think about it. If the new Gen Z is being raised by my generation, let's say, who's been, known to be successful and has been good to go as far as producing income or whatnot, then maybe it's our fault for making it easy for them, right? Are we spoiling them? Are we giving them everything that they need? Is it technology? Is it just easier? Is it easy to Venmo my kid money just so they can go and replenish their account and go buy $10 meals or $15 eating wings at Wingstop, right? So easy to go buy stuff and shop on Amazon or Temu or whatever it is. And maybe it's our fault for, continuing to replenish, right? At some point. My kids need money. I send them digital funds. Is that their fault? I don't know. Perhaps I don't want them to suffer because I grew up with not a whole lot, not suffering, but not a whole lot. And maybe I just don't want them to suffer. Maybe I want them to have everything. And I want to give them what they need, what they want. It's part of maybe my parenting and my wife's parenting is what we're doing. Does this mean that they're doomed for life, though? Does it mean they're just done? I think not. All I have to say is, yeah, let's say we do all that. Let's say we over-provide. We make it easy, right? And we give them what they need. And we replenish their bank accounts, digital currency, so they go out and spend. And we don't put a limit or a cap as much as we should, right? Well, I think it's also our responsibility to go back, and these are younger kids. As they get older teens, high school, going into college, you need to overcompensate and just educate them. For example, I have 2 kids going to college, and I made them a deal. I said, hey, you guys are getting student loans, but the day that you graduate, I'll pay it off in cash. But what I mean by that is there's restrictions to that. It's going to be 4 years of college, no gap years, no failed classes and redos or retakes, no multiple changes in majors. I mean, if they changed their major to something that was really good, or, of course, I'd work with them on that as an exception. However, the point is, I want them to have skin in the game. They have skin in the game. This is a lesson right here, people, right? If they quit, if they do any of the things that I just mentioned, they're going to have a tab, and they're going to have to go get a job and work as a dropout in college, and they're going to have this big bill to pay. I'm not going to do it. That's the deal. You got to have skin in the game, for everyone, and you got to teach them that. What that means is that we are good parents, and we're trying to parent well, and we are trying to make it plentiful for them. Maybe the trick is to stop and assess how much we've taught them, right? And I mean, you can't have everything one way or another. Life is all about balance. So that said, I don't blame Gen Z. I blame the blueprint that we give them. If we tell them to go to college, let's teach them about debt. If we buy them iPhones, let's tell them that these things cost $1,000. Don't break the screen, right? And teach them how much it costs to really obtain these things. We let them scroll through social media. Well, let's also teach them the difference between reality and fantasy, facts and, opinion, so that you can set them up the right way. So if you're a parent, mentor, or a leader that has influence over the next gen, particularly, Gen Z, then you could be a part of that solution. That's my opinion. I think you can. Okay, that's it for today. If you like the show, please comment, subscribe, or share this link to other parents or people that you think could use some of this advice. Thank you. We'll see you next time on the Facts of Life podcast, hosted by me, John Doan. Thank you very much.